Alright students, so today we will talk about the use of if and unless. Some students are not sure whether to use if or unless. The difference is, however, straightforward. The explanation of these two words will show how they are used in conditional sentences. So the meaning of if and unless is, if means on the condition that, provided that, presuming that, supposing that, assuming that, as long as. See, the example says, if I am free this evening, I will watch the match. Now, it's very clear with this that he says if he is free, then he will watch the match. Now, if I am supposed to convert it into negation, or the other way round, the meaning of this sentence can come in this way also, that is, if I am not free this evening, comma, I will not watch the match. So this becomes, the meaning is the same. The way it is written is different, and both of them are conditioned. There is a condition over here that if it is in this way, then it will be this. That means if I am free, I will watch the match. If I am not free, I will not watch the match. So over here, our two rules are there which we need to remember. One, when if is positive, when we are converting it to unless, it becomes negative. So we add not with that. And the other way around, that is, unless is positive, then if becomes negative. We'll further see this with the example of unless. If you will feel cold unless you wear a warm jacket. So over here, unless is being used. Now, if I use if in place of unless, so what am I supposed to do? According to the rule, if unless is positive, I am supposed to make this negative. So what will I do? You will feel cold if you do not wear a warm jacket. So this is what the meaning says, that is if and not. So unless itself is a negative word, or it tells us about the negation. The conditional sentences, the type 1, it says if and not. According to the rule, if you remember, the previously I said our first rule is, our first type is if plus not we have, which is equal to positive unless. So I have taken the unless positive. If we don't hurry, we will be late for the show. So I have taken this positive. Unless we hurry, we will be late for the show. This is first, where the negative is in the first part. Type 2 of the condition, the whole sentence is positive, that is, it is without any negative word. The whole is positive. So if the whole is positive, that means if is positive, what will happen? Unless plus not. We'll take it into this. So, but we will take this not in the second part. Please remember this. So if is replaced with unless, and would has become wouldn't. If he had permission from his parents, he would travel alone. Unless he had permission from his parents, he wouldn't have traveled, or he wouldn't travel alone. Conditional sentence type 3. Change to unless again. Now if you see, I have two negative I have in the first part and in the second part of the sentence. But as we say, Our rule says if plus not is equal to unless. So what I do is I take if and I take not. So if you hadn't suggested it, I wouldn't have phoned him. Unless you had suggested it, I wouldn't have phoned him. So I have taken this rule. Okay. So if plus not, I have made this positive unless. Now the other way round of the conditional type. Conditional type for unless you are hardworking, you will not pass. So over here we can write it in two ways according to the condition 2. C2. If you see C2, what happens is, okay, you have if you are hardworking, the positive, the whole positive, if you remember, I'll just show you again. Condition 2. We have this whole sentence which is positive. So what we did, we took the second part as negative. Now we have this kind of a sentence which is a question to us and we are supposed to convert it into if. So what we do, we can do it in either way. Our first rule where it says, okay, unless is positive. So what happens if plus not? If you do it in this way, yet it is right. So my rule unless is positive, I have made it into negative. But the other way round of this C2, condition 2, I can remove this not also according to the condition 2. If you are hardworking, you will pass. So I have two ways to write this sentence. Actually 3 ways. 2 ways for if and the other way is for unless. Let's go on to the condition 4. Convert it into if. Unless you leave the premises, I shall call the police. So unless again is positive over here. So if and not. I have converted this. So unless you leave the premise, I shall call the police. If you don't leave the premise, I shall call the police. Now let's do different type or sort of examples and exercises. If I have it in the other part, so I will not. Our rule is if positive, unless plus not. Let's go on with this. So unless, now if you are regular in food and drink, you will not be ill unless you are not regular in food and drink, you will not be ill. This is our first. In the same way, if you see, I have if and not. So that is unless is equal to if plus not. So if I am not ill, I will come. So unless is equal to if plus not. So this will, I will remove if and I will remove this not. Unless I am ill, I will come. This is the answer. Now if you see this one, the whole is positive. Now when the whole is positive, we are supposed to make it into negative. So again the same, unless is equal to if plus not. I'll take this. If we don't walk, because it is present tense, I am supposed to use do or does, and since it is we, I will use do and negative word not. If we do not walk, fast, comma, we shall miss the train. We shall miss the train. Fourth one. Now again, if you see, unless is over here positive. Same type what we have it in the previous one, the third one, same way. If now the thing little bit where it has changed is if it, now since it is it, where it is we are supposed to use does, not do. So if it does not, now rains will change to rain. So if it does not rain, comma, the crops will be ruined. Ruined. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. The fifth one. If you do not handle machines properly, they will kill you. So over here I have if plus not, which is equal to unless. So I will remove both this. So unless you handle machines properly, comma, they will kill you. Okay. Now if you see the sixth one, we have cannot, unless, but the cannot is in the first part and unless is with the second part. So Hitesh cannot join us unless his father consents. So Hitesh cannot join us if his father does not consent. Okay. Hitesh, now cannot will remain as it is because unless is our positive, because we are talking about this part of the sentence. Cannot join us if his father does not consent. You cannot take the book unless you pay for it. It's the same thing. You cannot take the book if you don't pay for it or do not. Eighth one, if you do not do as I tell, you will regret in future. So I have if and not, right? So unless will be positive. I will remove this too. Unless you do as I tell, you will regret in future. Future. Again the same like the eighth one, if and not. So I will remove both of them because if and not is equal to unless. Unless you help me, comma, I shall fail. Unless it is very hot, I shall go out. So unless is positive. So unless is equal to if plus not. If plus not. So unless, if it is not very hot, I shall go out. I shall go out. So here our sentences ends. I hope this will help you to understand the topic if and unless. Thank you.